Hello, everyone, and welcome to some extremely sad news from the chess world and world in general. Daniel Naroditsky passed away, I think, 2 days ago, and yesterday they published it. I have no idea what to say. They don't have, rather, they haven't disclosed what was the cause of death. But I mean, it's something unimaginable if that something like this can happen. He was 29 years old and. I mean, so full of life. Everyone loved him. He was everyone's favorite internet teacher, sensei. They called him, and yeah, I mean, it's very hard to deal with stuff like that. I mean, I've lost people who were very dear to me, both young and old, and there's never, I mean, a good way to deal with that. You just have to, life goes on, and you have to continue doing what you are doing. And I know that everyone mourns in their own way. I would like to honor Danya with one of my favorite games that he played. It was from 2021, and he faced Tuan Minh. It was an online game, but those are the ones where Danya was simply the best. He did play classical. He loved playing classical, but in Bullet and Blitz, that's where he shined, and that's where everyone feared him. He could take down Magnus, he could take down Hikaru, he could take down Alireza. And I could also show you a game that where he defeated Magnus, but this one I remember very well, and it has a beautiful finish to it. So yeah, let's check it out. Tuan Minh had the white pieces, and he opened with pawn to d4. Daniel replied with the pawn to d6. We have knight to f3, bishop to g4, and now bishop to f4. Okay, knight to d7, preparing pawn to e5. And while you can play pawn to e4 and allow pawn to e5, Tuan Minh decides to wait. He plays knight bd2. And now Danya also has to wait with pawn to e5 as the knight isn't pinned, the pawn hasn't moved. We have knight g to f6 and pawn to h3. Attacking the bishop, we have bishop to h5 and now pawn to c3. We have pawn to c6, queen to b3 and queen to b6. Okay, offering to trade queens, and if queen captures on b6, then you get the open a file, and it's going to semi-open a file, and it's going to be very good for black. So instead, pawn to e4. Now you can play it as the queen left the d1 square, and the bishop captures on f3. Saying that, okay, you capture with the knight, then I win the e-pawn, or you capture with the g-pawn, and then I sort of mess up your pawn structure. And then you can play pawn to e5. So this is what Danya played. We have bishop to e3, and now queen back to c7. Or you trade, but then Tuan Minh gets the open a file, and then white should be a little bit better. So, okay, queen to c7. We have pawn to f4, and now bishop to e7. Rook to g1, putting pressure on g7, and here Danya just castles kingside. And believe it or not, castling here in the face of danger is the top move recommended by the engine. We have f captures on e5, d captures on e5, and now bishop to h6, threatening to capture on g7, knight to e8. You could also play g6, but that's also just weakening the king side. Knight e8 is much better. We have knight to f3, and now king to h8, unpinning and forcing the bishop to retreat. We have bishop to e3, knight to d6. And now it's time for Danya to mount an attack, whether on the center if the king remains on e1, or if Tuan Minh castles queenside, then of course by pushing those queenside pawns. We have queen back to c2, defending the e4 pawn, and pawn to f5. It's time to open up the center. D captures on e5, we have knight captures on e4, and now castles queenside. And this is where the fun starts. Knight captures on e5, knight captures on e5, and now queen captures on e5. We have bishop to d4, nicely aligning the bishop and rook towards that g7 pawn. And it seems like Danya is on the verge of losing the game, but queen f4 check, king to b1, and bishop to f6. And all of a sudden, it's not easy for white to make a move. Because if you trade, it looks bad because, I mean, everything is still pointing at that black king. But really, after, let's say, bishop to d3, you just play g6. And there's no way for white to go through this. So instead, bishop to e3 was played, attacking Danya's queen, and this is where the game becomes memorable, at least for me. because you could play queen e5, and it's such a very natural move to make you centralize your queen, and it can't be bad. It's the top move recommended by the engine. Daya plays queen to h4, which is the third top move recommended by the engine, but it's one that allows this game to be sort of immortalized. We have rook to d7, putting pressure on b7, and also on the black king side, we have rook 8 to d8, and rook captures on b7. And now I have no idea if Danya planned all of this or was it just serendipity. But look at this: rook to b8, rook captures. We have rook captures on b8, and now everything is attacking that white king. Something is about to get sacrificed on c3, and you have to unpin from the b file. And by playing king c1, you would be okay for the most part. But king to a1 was played, which is I would say more of a human move. Going away from the action and going towards the center. But now Danya is completely winning, and feel free to pause the video and finish this immortal game for Daniel Naroditsky while I give you a couple of seconds. The move in question is knight captures on c3. And if you're wondering how is this possible, isn't the queen also guarding the c3 square? Well, this is why I love the queen h4 move instead of the queen to e5 move, because now the black queen has the final say. B captures on c3, and now this is the move you had to find in order to play it. Look at this, queen to a4. A beautiful queen sacrifice where, if accepted, then bishop captures on c3 is just checkmate. So instead, after queen to a4, queen to c1 was played. Of course, the queen sacrifice cannot be accepted, but now Danya finds a way to sacrifice the queen again, and this time it cannot be avoided. Queen to d1, and he was in this position on move 29 that Tuan Minh resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. You have to capture, there's no way to defend, and just bishop captures on c3 will be made on the next move, as even if you don't do anything, the queen here is pinned by the queen on d1. So just captures, and bishop captures on c3 would be checkmate. So yeah. Like I said, there are many great games that Danya played in both Bullet, Blitz, Hyper Bullet, even in Classical, and I could show you, any of those. But this is the one that I really love. Not just the Queen A4. The Queen A4 move is nice, but the putting the Queen on H4 instead of E5. This is what really makes the combination come alive. So yeah, like I said, terrible tragedy for the chess world, terrible tragedy for the world in general, especially for the people who knew him well. I mean, unbelievable. But the lives he touched online and in his lessons, everything he's done for the chess world, I believe in some way he will be. He definitely is immortalized. So yeah. Hope you enjoyed the game. I love this game ever since it was played. I think I even showed it back in 2021. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and see you soon.